just accessibility to credit discerning, but also the penalties because of ignorance and collapse have escalated. You hear daily that the amount of foreclosures is slowly falling. You don't know about this penalty foreclosed upon households are facing years later. A consequent credit score fall of 100 to 150 points signifies decades of more expensive credit, decreased employment opportunities, and much more. And also, rebuilding that score may take around 7 decades. And for the uninformed, the reduction of a house can be a dreadful event, placing homeowner heavy in debt to the IRS. Tens of thousands of folks walked off from mortgages without even recognizing that they'd be shut from a traditional mortgage market for the subsequent 7 decades under Fannie Mae rules. And when all this is not sufficient, credit coverage is becoming more invasive daily. Upgrades to this publication tell you about new customer databases that gather information regarding your health history, prescription medication usage, rental history, and much more. Employers, insurance providers, and lenders utilize this information to choose whether to employ or sell you, exactly what insurance policy prices to provide you, and also whether to give you new banking solutions. You have to understand what's in those records, and that is among the several things I explain to you just how you can perform in this publication. Nobody wakes up one day anticipating their financial safety and lifestyle to be flipped upside down as a consequence of a job loss, sickness, cover reduction, or doubt in the market. There might be other matters which influenced your fiscal equilibrium. However, the tragedy is finished. Lessons are learnt in this period of tragedy, and at this point, you have an opportunity to learn from and reverse your errors, and also concentrate on a brand new start. What a refreshing target, and one which you can attain. In the present culture, credit reports and credit scores are the deciding variables in receiving most kinds of credit and loans. Credit is a method of life. With no, you can not qualify for a house, auto, credit card, or bank accounts. When credit was simple to acquire, many individuals took advantage of utilizing their credit cards, even taking equity out of their houses, and utilizing lines of credit for buys as though they were additionally paychecks. It was simple to utilize credit cards and equity out of our houses to buy luxury items. A number of cash even went investments like property. Were your reasons incorrect? Not in time. You left the cash, but no one may see the near future and anticipate a loss of revenue or a fiscal catastrophe. The intent of composing the credit repair book is to enable and motivate you to get back on the right track. Among the chief goals of the publication is to offer you all the tools that you want to fix your credit history and elevate your credit scores while re-establishing brand new credit and enhancing the credit you presently have. The publication will provide you advice on the regions of credit you want to enhance your position. It's recession-proof. Chapter 1. All you need to know about credit. Credit plays a much more significant role in life than previously. Plus, it resembles its sway is only going to extend in the years to arrive. The incredible life enjoyment, and credit are all inextricably linked. It's maybe not that more stuff make you happier. However, awful credit exacts an amount in your own life, in your own relationships with other individuals. Consider it as your credit life connection. You have to successfully manage your credit and also, by extension, your financing if you're supposed to lead a rewarding and fulfilling lifestyle in these United States of America. Financial services and products, credit leading among these, have come to be a great deal more complicated and powerful, as the cost of having a low credit file, never steeper. Your credit rating is a fiscal picture of one's own life. Once you use credit, the advice usually gets recorded to your data storehouse called a credit agency. This advice ultimately ends up in your credit account for the next 7 decades. The good, the bad, and the ugly are there for anybody that you work with to watch, and also for FICO and also Vantage Score to outline in a lump sum amount referred to as your credit history. Lousy credit can save you from getting work, having the promotions that you deserve in the office, getting insurance, or paying for the best price because of this, procuring a flat or house, and much more. This chapter is about getting you started in repairing your credit so that you may find this task, promotion, house, and insurance to guard it. I focus on the fundamentals. In the event you don't comprehend credit, you can't mend it. Therefore, I talk how credit works, the way to employ that knowledge to comprehend precisely what you would like, the best way to take care of the outcomes of life's inevitable drawbacks in your credit, and also how to get over reverses as swiftly as achievable. Other chapters assemble this advice, helping to produce your credit the very best it could be, and maintain away. Why? Because life isn't always rational. However, you still should correct the damage and continue without having to be cheated by unscrupulous financial businesses or wasting precious time coping with credit issues you can minimize or avoid using the hints in this publication. Fixing bad credit. Once you've experienced a rough patch and dropped behind in your payments, you might believe you could never recover. Between the price of attention and maybe even set activities, the specific situation can seem overwhelming. However, I promise you that you are able to undo the bike. You can't just re-establish decent credit, but additionally, keep decent credit indefinitely. Forever is a very long run, but when you follow my advice, you can re-evaluate the credit blues indefinitely. It isn't magical, and it's not going to run you a second dime, but merely analyzing your position with complementary assistance. Should you require it, establishing goals, planning your savings and spending, and using credit as a portion of your total program, you may very quickly rebuild your credit card, regaining debts. You hear that the adverts all of the time. Settle your debts for pennies on the dollar. Or you've got the right to pay for less than your debt. Debt payoff is also a frequently misunderstood option that can work with you, but only if you can handle it correctly. Lots of businesses offering debt settlement providers help themselves a whole lot more than they allow you to. You can ask away from massive penalties and potential credit damage in the event you get a settlement deal with your creditor by yourself or in case you employ your attorney. You're responsible for your activities of this debt negotiation company that you hire, along with your credit, is going to be destroyed in a lengthy and laborious settlement procedure. Resetting your aims. As you did when you initially started setting credit, I'd like one to reevaluate your goals every once in a while. If your life changes, your aims should reflect those new facts. Aims that seemed within easy reach can go from short to the long haul. The others might change when you grow. Purchasing that red sports car might not be as crucial for you as it had been on your 20s. Begin with imagining your life since you want it to be within the short, medium, long haul. Then make a budget or upgrade your plan if you currently have one, just to know you present money. Afterwards, start to learn how much time it's going to have to invest in your targets and determine when working with credit could be appropriate. To make sure your credit is up to this duty of encouraging your aims to future years, assess your credit report and dispute any inaccuracies or out-of-date info. To reconstruct your credit reports, then you want to begin by having an actual credit rating. Maybe not a single teeming with mistakes that may hold you down. Once you assess your accounts, start looking for chances to examine them as frequently as possible. Rebuilding your credit using it. The perfect method to reconstruct your credit would always be to exercise it, together with your aims and spending plan for a guide. Start building those obligations as agreed, punctually, and to get the appropriate quantities. Every month you perform this, you build improved credit, whereas your elderly, bad credit counts to get drops or less of your credit file altogether. Working with a co-signer or becoming an official user. I don't advise that you co-sign for a bank loan. In this scenario, somebody else is still doing the co-signing. Enlisting for a co-signer is a way to acquire hold of credit so you can start to rebuild your credit score with credit agencies. But you have to keep in mind a few rules. You've got to create all of the payments on time. In case you can't create payments, as it's because you've got to inform the cosigner beforehand to ensure the cosigner will create the payment and safeguard their credit card, it's possible to cover your pals straight back after. You cannot be angry with the cosigner if they're not understanding or more useful while you owe them cash. Your co-signer does you a massive favor in high private credit hazard. Another means to reconstruct your credit would always be eventually to become an authorized user on somebody else's credit card. When you are inserted into your partner's accounts, her or his excellent credit rating flows upon your credit record because confident accounts and payments flow, beefing up your record and credit rating. Anyone has to get good credit, though or her or his lousy credit will adversely influence yours. I recommend that you decline to have the card to the accounts so that the other person's charges appear on the accounts. In that way, if he or she had a lousy memory, such as I do, you are spared yearly calls asking if that or this fee is yours. Even though you won't have the use of brand new credit, your credit history receives a boost. Locating sources of free assistance. You certainly can do plenty of things all on your personal computer, but sometimes with a specialist in your side to provide you hints. It's possible to discover that it assists in 3 chief places, plus it ranges from cost-effective to free. Non-profit credit advisors, pro bono attorneys, and HUD-approved counseling bureaus offer you invaluable insight, assistance, and information. The key is to understand to require it. Non-profit credit advisors use you to establish goals, develop a financial plan, and rate your capacity to pay back your debts. They may establish a repayment plan in concert, along with your creditors, to reduce your payments and rates of interest, and also get favorable advice straight back to your credit history, faster than you might by yourself. They genuinely are financed by creditors, but meet your needs personally. And that I urge the fantastic ones tremendously. Attorneys offer free or pro bono help if you cannot afford to pay for it. A loan is another and sometimes dangerous kind of. The principles for handling a delinquent mortgage differ from those for routine user debt. And also, the penalty for an error may be the lack of one's house. I highly urge that you've got a mortgage issue, then you obtain professional HUD certified assistance. Look out for terrible assistance. In brief, if someone approaches you and offers to help to get a fee, then don't get it done. The fee tools get the job done well. The high-priced ones, too, usually are only ways to distinguish you from the hard-earned money, as you are under stress. Managing collectors. Occasionally, you must spend the telephone number. Now, you are aware that it's a debt collector. However, that you have no idea precisely what to say, do, or even offer. You must follow specific rules, of course. If you understand the guidelines, you are going to feel confident in handling a stressful circumstance. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA, modulates correctly what collectors can and cannot perform. Generally, this law protects you from misuse and dangers. For example, a collector cannot endanger an action. It cannot or does not mean to shoot, cannot create harassing calls, and cannot use violent language. If you realize your rights and insist on being treated fairly, you're able to negotiate a payment program that suits your price range. If you need assistance finding a viable program, you could always require a credit advisor for aid. Weathering a mortgage crisis. Some credit issues are worse than many others. Within my own experience, a mortgage catastrophe is being among the very upsetting, pricey, and most damaging to your credit, as well as also relationships. Your house is a castle. Whenever you're in danger of losing it, then you likely feel like your existence is under attack. Thinking things through and making up the very best way for you and your family members could be difficult. Within this part, I trailer the significant options to help direct you along the best course. Lien is not the same as different kinds of debts and credit due to a range of factors, like the magnitude of their debt. So the significance that the lending company attaches to your debt secured by a house, and also the simple fact that the debt will probably be packed into collateral that has been occupying several occasions and can be susceptible into rigid set rules. Mortgage delinquency could have a substantial and long-term unfavorable effect in your credit history. For example, being only 1 month overdue on a loan payment may run you 100 points plus onto your credit history and just take 36 months to recuperate from. The upshot is that in case you should be at risk of failing behind in your mortgage obligations, or you are already behind, you are better off seeking expert assistance. Choosing assistance. At a mortgage catastrophe, the earlier you receive help, the better. The main reason is straightforward. The stakes are high, and also the help is free of charge. A lot of individuals that own a mortgage payment due to the first of the month realize they will have before the 15th to cover it. Would you? If you overlook that payment to the 15th, you are 45 days mortgages are paid in arrears. Therefore, the charge has already been 30 days when you receive it. Miss out the expected date, and also the 15-day grace period extends off, and soon you grab up by the 15th of the following month. Then you are 1 to 5 days off, out of foreclosure action. Fast, isn't it? I recommend you never delay in calling a HUD-approved counseling bureau. These bureaus are frequently put-in credit counseling bureaus. Therefore, they could tackle all of your financial problems simultaneously, doing so in your own. You might insist on training your mortgage issues all on your very own. The practice is catchy and lengthy. However, it may be accomplished. Along with acting fast, you want to stay high notes, who you consult with once you talk and what's said. You are working with bureaucracy, and also bureaucracies like to forget they have you ever heard out of you and ship you over the spot to avoid liability for helping. Therefore, fantastic notes are indispensable. As in virtually any debt settlement practice, you want to perform your research before you telephone your mortgage servicer. Knowing precisely what you genuinely need concerning help take care of one's payments that are missed, and also know what you're able to provide. You might find a way to create extra payments within a 2-year interval to grab up, or you might have to request a low payment amount to get some time frame. What you may require, you've got to be unique. In the event you can not work out a compromise, and then there are means to leave your property that cause less credit harm. One of them is deed in lieu of money. You provide back the house, saving the lender foreclosure costs. Short-term sale. You have the lender to consent to, allowing you to attempt to market the home for significantly less than the mortgage is worth. Friendly money. You collaborate with all the lenders and also leave home in great form on a timely basis. Strategic mortgage default. The mortgage default option isn't an option that anybody enjoys, but a range of individuals believes walking away out of their homes instead of wanting to work things out. Based mostly on how far your debt, you might well be very, very unlikely to reunite the money you are putting into monthly mortgage obligations. As stated by the Federal Reserve, the tactical default option is a widespread cure for those that have lost 50% or even more of these property worth and owe massive commissions. Say that you invest $200,000 in your mortgage. Your property is currently worth just $100,000. Why squander $100,000 in your overpayments? After that rationale, a few folks are sending the keys into their bank and walking out from their domiciles. Credit damage in the tactical default option is significant and continues quite a while. You may have abysmal credit for 7 decades, also to observe that a credit history drop of 140 to 160 points, plus Fannie Mae, the government service which promises most creditors won't guarantee a fresh loan to you for the following 7 decades. This ensures it to obtain another home from the subsequent 7 decades. You're paid to get a brand new mortgage, and you're going to need a high-priced mortgage. Filing bankruptcy. There are occasions in life once you simply cannot deal. For some folks, this can be true in credit matters. If you should not be able to come to terms with the wake to be overextended, insolvency can allow one was hitting the reset button and then begin again. However, there isn't any free lunch. At the same time, you pay an amount concerning prospective credit, bankruptcy, for the proper reasons, and within the ideal conditions, might be the best course of action. This section provides you a glance in a frequently misunderstood and abused tool, so you can decide.
We hope you enjoyed this preview. To continue listening to this audiobook on Google Play Books, use the link in the video description.